Welcome to an interview series with Dagon. Joining me today is CEO of GenG. It's Mr. Arnold Hur. Thanks for making time, man.
Dude, of course, man.
Today is the day after T1 and GenG round 4. We had you on the LCK.
Yeah.
We predicted it 2-1. And it came true.
I told you, man, we're living in the new GenG multiverse.
Yeah.
You know, and you just got to get used to it now. You know, it's the GenG world now, where I can be right every once in a while instead of wrong every time. So I was watching, nervous, scared, lost the first game, and I was like, oh shit.
You got smacked.
I was like, oh man, how are all of our lanes losing? But at the end of the day, like this team just clutches up. I think one thing I really love about this team is like they adjust to each team, to each round. Like they just like adjust until, and they have like more moves left every single time.
Yeah.
More things to show that they've like worked on way back in the season, and they're like bringing these out now.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that. Like most of the time you have like a lot of teams that just, they work on stuff in scrims and you never freaking see it.
Yeah.
You know, you just slam Azir, Renekton, whatever, right? Like, but it's cool to see like the kind of the different strategies. We can, you know, having them do like kind of rumbles versus like more strategic and like switching it up when needed. I don't know, I'm also probably just really happy because we won and we weren't looking good after the first one. So
do you get an extra little kick because it is T1 compared to any other team in the LCK?
I would say it feels different now this year because I know the other side with Doran, right? Or if it's Hanwha, like I know Peanut, I know Delight, and like for some reason, like anybody that I have like a friendship with, I don't know if it's a friendship, like they're much younger than me and they probably think I'm boring and all that stuff. But like anybody that I feel kind of a closeness to, like I get more competitive. You know, I don't know if that's a healthy thing or not, but so I would
say I feel bad. They're like my sons, they're my friends.
No. I want to beat my friends the most, you know? But that, I also think that's why I like kind of like friendly but very aggressive competition, because the competition's competition, right? Like friendship means, like true friendship means that you go your best against people you care about because that's how you show them respect, right? And so I would say it, I don't know if it feels more, but there's definitely, T1 is still T1, right? That legacy they have, dude, it's the T1 legacy, right? And I understand like, you know, the full weight of that.
What did you think when Faker signed for 4 more years? Again, I know I'm asking about another player in years, but it's kind of like industry setting kind of thing.
Look, I think it's great, right? I think having more teams with players that are under longer contracts, where both the identity of the team and the player can grow together, I think that's what's needed in this sport. And if you look across most growing successful sports, they really encourage that through a lot of different means so that fans can identify and grow with a team and a player and to be able to kind of see that journey of a player. And I think that's really important, right? Versus just every year it's a new roster and new players completely. And that narrative, it's really hard to build otherwise.
Yeah. That was done over at the Roadshow for T1. You guys had a Roadshow as well. What do you think about some of the roadshow elements that have been put in by the LCK and some of the great benefits from it and things that they can do better for 2026?
I love the roadshows. Like I want to see more roadshows in more cities, in more countries. Am I hinting at something? No. We don't have anything. But you know, we definitely want to do more roadshows. I think it's a great thing for the sport. I also really like the fact that each team and each group can kind of put their own flavor on it and kind of give a different vibe. Because like, honestly, I'm kind of tired of just LCK's flavor. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. But, you know, if you have a lobster every day, every once in a while you want a cheeseburger, you want steak, you want these other things, right? So I think having more teams take more risks and have different types of formats, different types of themes, I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe we'll even do one in like a beach, a pool party, watch party. How about that?
A ham day on the beach over in Busan.
I was joking. We're gonna play a water bomb. You guys have to probably look up water bomb if you're especially in the West, but just go look it up.
So part of this interview was that we kind of wanted to capture this moment of GenG right now.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to start over with when you kind of took over way back in the day and then kind of progress through a couple of different phases of GenG into the 2025 version that is back-to-back international champions and really poised to win worlds. Which is
I don't know about that. Well, I don't know. We got a lot more work to put in, but
when you kind of came in over, correct me if I'm wrong. This is when you came in with KSV, and then started building the legacy there. What were some of the biggest early learnings that you had when you hopped into the esports ecosystem like this?
I would say, kind of in my time, it's about like 8 years now, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. It's a long time. There's a lot of gray hairs I have now. We've learned a lot. The first thing we learned is that we knew nothing, right? Our intuition, our impression of how this works, and the industry has changed a lot too. Like we were walking into an industry where there were no sponsorship dollars, when we first got in. This is like before the bubble, right? And it was very much like sponsors would basically say, here's some free products and that's it, right? And you were lucky to get them. Or sometimes it was even just, here's a discount on products, which is crazy. And now we're having like pretty landmark deals and partnerships across the board. And that's been like really exciting to see the growth of. On the competitive front, a lot of our information that we were getting, I think, we were also learning like how to be better, how to measure our success, how to start building over the long run instead of just kind of coming in and trying to, have immediate impact every year.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think, one thing I disagreed with, even when we were first starting is like the idea that like you can just come into this thing and like expect to win right away. Yeah. Just not possible. Right. And so when we even do expansions into new other esports titles, we don't expect to come in and just like win everything. We expect to come in, understand the scene, understand the fan base, understand how it works, and then slowly grow for the long run. Right. And, I think I still remember like even just culturally, there were things like some players and coaches and like they didn't even want to do any content. Back then also, it was like the umbrella company was supposed to like not touch and not engage with the actual team.
Got it. Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be like complete separation. Like we'll report back at the end of the year. Let us know the budget for next year.
Yeah.
Right. That was kind of the thing that we saw, and we were like, that's just not how we're going to operate. Yeah. So we had to kind of create our own way. We had to kind of, make these initiatives really important that we build the right system where we felt that, any player that comes into our system, we want them to have a higher and better trajectory because they come into our system, whether it's how we do scouting, how we do data, how we do diet and exercise and these things. All of these things I think were really important that we build, and it took a little bit longer than we expected.
I guess when you looked at other esports organizations, because you and I met originally at 100 Thieves compound.
Yeah.
Back then. What were some of the, like, when you look globally, what are some like good takeaways that you're like, they do that well and that's something we want to put into GenG and you've been able to execute upon that?
Man, every day I'm trying to like enjoy, fun moments more and like enjoy the good stuff more. Yeah. Cause like whenever I see anything, no matter how successful we are, like all I see are like things we need to improve. So I've been trying to tell myself, like I meditate in the morning now to like kind of like appreciate the things that we have accomplished. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's just my personality. Like I can't sit in happiness or fulfillment. I just see the thing we need to improve next, right? So I don't think we are anywhere close to saying that we're the benchmark of anything. What I would say is that we want to get better at the system that we have created. And I see areas that other teams are doing much better than us, right? On a bunch of different things, right? Like I look at Obviously 100 Thieves with merch, right? Oh my God, incredible. Or how, G2 is able to just keep hitting social media at such a great level, and also like know where the line is that they can't cross, right? Like that takes skill. Or how FaZe Clan even, right? Like for all their faults and successes or whatever, like they're top of mind. They're in the news. People think about them. People watch them. And especially in Korea, even like I look at the success that Hanwha Life has done in their content with really bringing in and integrating a creator, right, into their org. I think that was fantastic.
That was it Cheon from Promise 9?
Yes.
Yep.
And I see some other stuff that other orgs have done. Even Nongshim, their social media is really funny.
Social media is the best in the LCK.
By far.
That's
so good, right? Like they found their positioning.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. It's something that I honestly think we need to do a better job of. I'm hoping to, take more of a larger role on kind of telling our story, right? Because I think our story is interesting. I think it's important that we acknowledge what we're good at, what we're bad at, and then just keep getting better.
8 years since KSV to GenG and then GenG to who they are now. How would you kind of chapter the 8-year journey with GenG? Would it be 3-5 years when it comes to a competitive standpoint?
Each title is different, right? So let's talk about League. I think overall, before we go into League, like overall, I think we're pretty good at understanding kind of where to make investments and where not to, right? And even this year in EWC, we measured how many teams that we've created and how many of those teams qualified to EWC. We're the highest among teams that had at least like 3 or 4 teams. And then in terms of the placements of those teams, actually doing pretty well. Right. Obviously, we don't have like 20 whatever teams to, that's a different ball game.
I saw your name on the leaderboard for a long time.
We're pretty good. We're actually, the players are pretty good. We're just fans, right?
Yeah.
So I think, that's something that, we actively measure. A key KPI for us across the board is like, it's not just about winning. It's about knowing how to win, right? And knowing how to win and measuring that could be a lot of times like wins per dollar. Like how many wins are you really creating in the investment that you've made versus other teams and what investments they've made. At the same time, of course, we want to invest more. So our business has to be better and stronger, and content needs to be bigger, and sponsorship needs to be better, and all of those things, right? That's kind of like what I view as my job, is to make sure that I'm putting our coaching staff and our GM and our players in the best position to win with as much revenue and business backing as we can find. At the same time, their job is to work with their budgets and try to maximize the success of that budget.
Yeah.
And at the same time too, it's also really bringing in new initiatives that we want to bring in. I think this feeling of like, there's no destination, but we just need to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. But at the same time, I think too much of that is not healthy. Got to enjoy the fun things more. So I've been trying to get better balance on when I'm watching the game to enjoy the fact that I'm able to be there. So even yesterday, I was like watching us lose and I was like, I'm devastated, but I'm going to enjoy the fact that I'm watching this thing and I'm really excited about something that's happening at work.
Sounds like some good advice that you're trying to put into practice.
I don't know if it really worked during that, first game, but
Yeah, that was a tough one. I like how you bring up this term because I think a lot of fans don't think about it this way. Wins per dollar. It was something that came up a lot more when I was at LCS, probably around like 21 to 23.
Yeah.
That was like so late into like LCS.
Yeah.
GMs were just like best player, lowest salary, right?
Yeah.
But instead of thinking, hey, how do we create a set of expectations there? Because when you look at traditional sports, you look at, I don't know, like the Dodgers or the Lakers, and they're spending astronomical dollars, and winning or maybe not, and then maybe that's not their goal. Like winning is great, but they already have like a history of winning. So how did you end up on that being the measure of success? And, were there other metrics that you might look at towards success?
So
you ended up
I think, don't get me wrong, like wins per dollar is not the end goal.
Sure.
Right? The end goal is to win championships.
Yeah.
But the way I have to think about it is the players are responsible for that game.
Yeah.
The coaches are responsible for the season. Our GM is responsible for how we do over multiple seasons. Mm-hmm. And I'm responsible for making sure that we're putting our teams in a position to win.
That's great.
And if you think about esports, being in a position to win means that you need to understand how to take revenue and turn it into wins. Otherwise, you don't have a business, and the world is littered with incredible teams that shine very brightly, and a lot of them no longer exist now.
Yeah.
And, that's the thing that keeps me up, and, it gets really scary. And if you think about the long-term structure now in place in LCK with the SFR, and you guys can Google what the SFR is, it creates certain rules of how much a team can spend. And I think if I look at that rule set, right, it clearly says long-term, the most successful teams are going to be the ones that are able to kind of look at the SFR and make sure that they're able to win within the rule constraints of the SFR.
Right.
And so for me, it's not wins per dollar. It's like the SFR has set the terms of the game. Therefore, we have to figure out how to be really great at, if the league is super successful and everybody's spending up to the limits of the SFR, then the true differentiator is who can find the wins within a certain number, right? And so that's the end game. It's not a every day, every year thing, but like that's actually the end game of the rules that have been created in this league.
Yeah.
And that's how you win the long-term run.
I like that. One of the consistent things that you had throughout this tenure, and then disappeared for a little bit, was Ruler and his desire to win. And it's not just a desire to win, but also the inverse is true as well.
I think the best players, the best winners are always the ones, there's a common trait, which is it's not that they don't love winning, but this hate losing more.
Yeah.
And that's Ruler. Like I learned more about a player and who they are really like in our toughest moments when we lose, and how they react, and these kind of things, right? I still remember 2018, which I don't like talking about because it was rough for us. Right after we lost at Worlds, basically 2 days after, or next day, it was 2 days after, 48 hours later, he was playing again and practicing. And I was like, you should be taking a rest. Like, what's going on? I talking to him about how he felt and all these things. And the one thing that really stood out to me was he said he just hates losing so much that after he loses and he can't even watch the stream live because his stomach hurts. Mm-hmm. That's how much he hates losing. His body physically rejects losing, right? And he kind of uses that to fuel his drive. Yeah. I mean, he loves winning too, right? Don't get me wrong, but he has that, that mentality, and that's something that I really admire about him. One of the things that I still remember also was, when he was leaving and he was going to JDG, and, we left on very good terms, but I remember I had to go pick up something from the office, and I run into Ruler, getting his stuff ready and picking up his stuff. And I still remember this one moment where, we hugged each other. I just wanted to thank him for everything, and because he was always such a good leader for not just the team, but even our younger players and everything else.
Yeah.
Both got a little teary-eyed. I told him hey, I hope that if you ever come back to Korea, that you come back with us. He's like, I would only come back to GenG. And he's like, we're going to make it happen. And I was like, all right. And, you know, when I saw him again at GenG, I was like, damn, you were right. So I really love that about him, and, you know, being able to work with him. And also the other part that probably only like hardcore fans know is like, he's an amazing mentor. Like, he genuinely cares for a lot of the younger players on our academy team, students in our academy, you know, even obviously our younger players on the roster. And I think having that is also just so beneficial. Because it also allows us to kind of develop talent for the future. And, you know, I think even you're seeing it in a lot of Duro's success this year.
We'll get to Duro in a second because he's been such a breakout star. But when I hear stories about greats, or at least great talents that have that, not just desire to win, but this refusal to lose, you've been close enough where I think you might have an antidote for this. But how does someone who has that not have it turn to like a fire that ends up burning around on accident, right? Because they're so passionate and they want to set a certain standard. Like, how does Ruler balance that compared to other players that have been great that you've seen, whether it's in league or multiple different times?
I would say he is what he's good at. He's really good at making the mood of the team really positive. He's like the older brother that is confident in himself enough to get made fun of.
Got it.
And it's funny because also because he's so fun and funny and chill about most things, when he turns serious, especially about work, right, about winning, like, you pay attention. Versus, I think if you're just always serious about everything all the time, people are kind of tune you out. Or there's a danger that they tune you out, right? And so I think he's found that right balance where when it comes to work, when it comes to winning, like, he's dead serious. And he hates losing. But when it comes to just kind of being a great leader and being there for the team, he's just so positive and so funny.
Well, he's been a great leader for Duro, your prized pickup of the offseason, who's just... We barely saw him in LCK. He didn't even play the full summer split. He was on BNK Fear splitting time with Execute. How did this come about, and did you expect this level of success from him?
Well, we knew he was really good. We thought he was like a hidden gem, right? And at the same time, did we expect this level of growth at this point in the season? Absolutely not. Like, he's far exceeded our expectations across the board, right? When he's able to draw, you know, bans as a rookie or semi-rookie, that opens up so many options for the team, right? Especially in a fearless draft. I think that is something that we did not anticipate. The other thing that we didn't anticipate, it's been a pleasant surprise, is like, this guy's killer mentality. That's like weird, but logical, but also weird. Let me explain. So like, we wanted to have a homestand. And basically this year we were like, for our team's growth, we're going to try to go to as many big audience things and try to get better every single time we're there. Right. And when we were going to our homestand, you know, I was talking to him. I was like, hey man, are you nervous? Like, you know, do you need anything? Like, we can support you on this. He's like, oh yeah, when I first walked in, I was definitely nervous. And then I realized this is just Lowell Park, but with more people. So I was like, well, I guess that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, I'm not nervous anymore. It's just Lowell Park, more people. And I was like, all right, man, whatever works for you. Because I'm nervous, but you seem fine. And, you know, and just kind of the ability to say, okay, like, I know he has so much respect for Carrier, and he's talked about it in other interviews, but to pick Pike, game 5,
title on the line,
and have the trust of the team to be able to do so, and to perform like he did on that pick, which is not an easy thing to do in that kind of pressure situation. Something's wrong with him in all good ways, you know?
Yeah. Another player that's been, I think, getting the accolades that he deserves is Kiin. We over on Power Spike, Monty was on the Kiin pain to make him MVP of the league, and first team All Pro top lane when he was back on KT, and then when he came on over and joined you guys, it just felt like the rich keep getting richer, and then he's found even another level this year.
So we think, there's always like the stars that everybody knows, and then there's the stars that, in basketball terms, that those that know ball know, right? And Kiin is that player because a lot of his narrative wasn't being told because he's literally finished in every position, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, and a lot of the non-top 3, unfortunately, the way esports works today, your story doesn't get told.
Correct.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And what we knew is that, especially with Fearless, Kiin is something special, right? And people may not see it because you really got to understand pick ban and practice and all these things. But his deep champ pool, as soon as we knew the offseason was happening, we're all in on Kiin, right? We got to make sure that we re-sign this guy because his ability to counterpick, even in the toughest situations, play strong side, play weak side, play freaking everything, to be able to absorb pressure, to be able to create pressure, that opens up the entire map for us, right? And he's not getting a lot of credit for it because a lot of the impact he has can be seen in pick ban, can be seen in the small things he does. But I think he's, for us, we're so lucky to have him. Yeah. And it's just been a joy to see him have success after such a long journey of always being a great player, but never getting the recognition he deserves. And, still today, I don't think he's getting the full recognition he deserves, but I'm also very biased. So I'm glad to see that more people are recognizing him.
Yeah, Top Lane's got kind of a couple of rock stars that are there that are a little bit louder or on teams that are a little bit louder. It seems like he goes in, he does his shift, he does it disgustingly well, but doesn't really need to talk about it too much and then it goes on. I feel like that's Kiin, and you look at a couple of other top laners. I mean, you have Kiin who's won Worlds. Obviously you have Zeus and Doran that are there, and Kiin is just kind of in the bubble, just plugging away, and now enjoying finishing in the same position, which is on top.
Actually, that's a good point. I think there's a couple things that those that know ball would see, both in Kiin and in Chovy, is that they play the role that they think is most needed for us to win.
Yes.
And it's literally the opposite of solo queue. Which is probably also why the gamer audience or the league audience may not see it because they don't see it in solo queue. Right? They, love the things that are successful in solo queue.
The big play, solo carry.
And it's not that they don't have those moments, right? Yeah. Both players. But Kiin is, he's the first one to suggest, hey, let's go find this lane, we can get, and we can sacrifice my pick to have another advantage in a different lane. Or the opposite, which is give me, this is the lane I got to slam.
Yeah.
And we're going to win through me. And being able to do both, that's so rare.
And also, just to that point, so many players that are willing to do the I'll play for the team don't do it well. Kiin does do it well. Chovy obviously does it at world class level. So.
Yeah.
Last player I wanted to touch on here was Kiin, because I feel like Kiin has kind of flown under the radar the most.
Yeah, he does actually. You know what? Maybe you're right.
I was like, Kiin had his moment in the Kiin pain, and he's had some big moments. Canyon, when we talk about Canyon, when it's Game 5 Nidalee. Or maybe on Sejuani and we do a polar bear joke. But Canyon, I feel like, what is his role in your mind in this amalgamation?
Oh, man. His creativity, at least, I'll be the first to admit, a lot of what he does, my tiny League of Legends brain cannot understand.
Sure.
right? It's very easy for me to see us take Baron or take a team fight and then look at the lane state. Yeah. It's a lot harder for, at least for somebody like me, or probably most fans, to see what led up to that lane state being the way it was for the moment that we needed it to be, right? Or for the pressure that we needed to create for, and sometimes you'll see stuff where like, they point stuff out to me and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And like, it's hard, it's sometimes not even measured because he'll just show up in a lane just because he knows that that little added pressure is going to pay dividends later on. So he's, you know who he is? He's Doctor Strange. He's looking at all the different possibilities and he's trying to impact the different things that need to happen, but you don't know until way later, right? And that's something that he's been incredible about. I think he's also really gotten comfortable with us as an organization and with the team. So it's just been awesome to see him open up, and you know, just his grind mentality is also insane. Like he's just about the game. Yeah. Like I would say the NBA equivalent is like Kevin Durant. Yeah. Like he's just not, there's nothing else besides the game. Yeah. And I love that about him. Like I remember one time we do an offsite and he just decided that he wanted to get better at karaoke in that offsite. This guy was in there for like 4 or 5 hours. I think most of it by himself. Yeah. Just grinding at like these like select songs that he decided he's going to get better at. And then other people were there. They all partied. They all enjoyed it. But I was like, man, this is why they are pros. And I'm just a fan, you know?
Next time we have him on the desk. Hey, I heard you like karaoke. A unique balance between previous GenGs and this GenG 2025 league compared to maybe 21 is that it felt like before The Rock, the leader of the team, was Ruler. When you picked up Chovy, then it felt like, okay, now it's Chovy's team. In 2025, you have both your first son and your current son, and it's like, welcome, sons. How do you mix that with that? How did that mix come about? Like, that to me sounds so fascinating, because it's not just that, like, hey, these are two great players, they'll figure it out. It's like, hey, these two have done so much for this organization, and now they're here together. Well, and they did it separately.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's a freaking blessing. Yeah. To be able to go to work and see such great players around. Yeah. Right. And, you know, I'm trying to spend more time like actually enjoying what a privilege it is to be around this level of performance and dedication and hard work. Yeah. And I think that's the leadership that they're showing, is that they're both are willing to take on more responsibility in order for the team to win. And it's not a responsibility that comes at the cost of sometimes their stats or their laning or whatever, right? I mean, Ruler has taken on more shot calling responsibilities with Duro being a rookie, and Duro's actually leveled up a lot, so that's freeing up Ruler to be Ruler. And and I wish people saw that, but you know, you don't see it because you don't see the voice comms, right? You don't hear the voice comms. And Chovy has taken such a massive jump in the needed jump we needed him to make, which was around shot calling, because we had legendary shot callers in Peanut, in Lehens, and you know, all these guys. But you know, with a different team, then he steps into the role that's needed for us to win. Yeah. And so, you know, seeing him kind of grow, not just as a player, but as just a young man and a leader, like that's a blessing. Gets me excited to go to work every day. He's even funnier in interviews, which I love because I think he's getting comfortable. Yeah. You know, that was one of the things that I really wanted to do with him, is that, look, we weren't always going to agree on everything, on whatever content he needs or not need to do or anything. But, you know, one thing that I am very proud of is we've always told it to him straight about what our view is, what content he does need to do and what he doesn't need to do. Yeah, yeah. And also knowing that, like, we're going to try our best to give him more time, to free up his time so that, you know, whenever he does something, it's not for a waste. Yeah. Right. And I think, given his history with a lot of different orgs and things, like coming here and being able to build that trust, and you know, I think the best expression of that is both trust each other for the 3-year contract to try to make this work at even a higher level than we already have. Yeah. You know, I think that's what I really admire about him. I would say the other part is just his mentality. So we talked about Ruler and his like hatred of losing.
Yeah.
Chovy also hates losing, but like I love how he deals with failure. Because by all accounts, he's tall, good looking, successful, won a bunch of stuff, and is one of the best players in the world. I'd say best player in the world. But it's never enough for him, right? He sees every failure as his next challenge. And, if I think about the ways that, I also think it's important that we bring this up, especially Western fans who only maybe see us like for 1 or 2 moments in the year, because not everybody gets a chance with time zones to watch LCK. And to see his growth, to see him kind of put in the additional work to get better at whatever is needed, right? Whether it's, the narrative was, oh, all he does is CS. Well, he's like, no, he's added like a lot of team fight impact. Oh, all he does is side lanes. Like, no, he's now added like so many different things and shot calling and everything else. I see that journey that's so exciting. And he's continuing to rise to new levels. And it really, because like every failure he has, it's just like, all right, that's the next thing that I need to get better at. And that, I'm a huge Lakers and Kobe fan, Kobe and Chovy. And like I still remember this thing that Kobe used to say, which was like, yeah, I get up at 4 a.m. and I start practice at 5 a.m. every day. And you may think it's only like 3-4 hours a day that I get this advantage, but I'm going to do this every day. What does that mean 10 years from now? You're never going to catch up to me. And I love the fact that as fans, we only view outcomes. But I get the privilege to see the inputs and what he's actually doing to get better, when most other people with that kind of success would probably just rest and chill, right? And be satisfied. But every day you look at solo queue, this guy has a new build. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. That's crazy to me, right? And like it's not exciting and to the casual fan, but like if you know it, you're like, holy shit, this guy's experimenting with new builds. Like didn't he just land like a week ago? Like what's going on?
Well, I mean, the fascinating part being here now is that like in the West, where would we always look, when there was LCS, they'd be like, yeah, we're watching LPL and LCK, we're seeing what the builds are, and then to go to the source of like, how does that come about? It's just hard work. Just that extra little bit that they're able to do and kind of innovate from.
I think the other thing that we're noticing is, and we had to, this is something that like we have to understand, is that like because of the attention that we draw during the season, there's 2 things that happen that we need to get better at as our next challenge, right? Which is, 1, everybody's going to have a game plan against us, right? And like they're going to be understanding exactly what we're building, when, where, why, what we're picking, when, where, why. And so we are going to have an entire playbook. And I would say like, other teams kind of have that same issue as well. But, this is something that we have to just get better at. The other part is, during the season, any team that is successful, like there's going to be a patch. Right? Like I remember when we had that patch with, ADC mids.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the way Chovy figured that patch out, I think kind of broke the game a little bit.
Trist, Corky, Kaisa sometimes, I think. What was it?
Yeah. And so when we are so successful in a season, we have to realize that there's going to be a new meta, a new season that is just going to happen, because that's what the game needs to evolve, right? At the same time, I would say Fearless also creates a different dynamic, where now it's not just about being ready for one meta change. It's like 3 meta changes that happen at the same time. And so this is going to be a huge challenge for us. And so we just have to figure this out, make sure that we're ready, make sure that we're getting ahead of it as much as we can as well.
With LCK finals coming up and Worlds coming up, what are concerns that you have for the team as those new challenges where they weren't quite finished last year?
I would say keeping the momentum up. I don't believe in the light switch teams, which are like, okay, we're just going to get better right when, we need to. I also don't think that actually happens in real life. I think there's a lot of hard work that goes in beforehand. It just may not translate into wins until later on, right? And so, like I remember the Lakers, for instance, were all Shaq and Kobe were always a light switch team, and they made it sometimes, but sometimes fell back on some others, right? For us, I think it's key that we continue to put that pressure on. At the same time, make sure that we're not burning out. So how do we make sure that there's enough time for breaks, that their diet's better, that diets. I always say diet and I laugh.
You say diet a lot.
And nobody ever listens to me, but one thing is like, we had a big win and they ate McDonald's before, and I love McDonald's. Thank you, McDonald's, one of our best sponsors. But like right before a meal and right before a match, it's like at least ChatGPT says it may not be the best pregame meal. So now we're just like trying to find the things in the McDonald's menu that would be, and luckily there's some like healthy options. Fries are definitely not good. I mean,
really?
It's a lot of
fries.
That's a lot of carbs, but the oil and so Coke Zero is helpful instead of Coke. So we're trying our best to manage, because it's like became a thing that we do. Because like, hey, look, I'm not going to argue with the track record, and I'm superstitious too. So I think that's kind of something that I want to work on, like outside of match day as well. But trying to figure out match day diet, day before, all of this stuff, like every single thing that we can do to support, like I want to make sure that we can do.
When it comes to fan outreach, obviously, like you guys are in this great moment right now, and there's a lot of success, and we're at that point of the year when, your team in the LCK gets knocked out. Maybe your team in LEC, LCS gets knocked out, and you're like, all right, who do I want to follow? Okay, yeah, there's a couple big ones there, but you do a lot of outreach already, and the team does a lot of outreach already in the content. You're here at GGX. This is where we're recording right now, the brand new land facility that you've seen me stitch in here as well. When it comes to investments and ways that fans can get in touch with you guys, what are the best ways that they can do that?
I'd say, for anybody that's actually visiting Seoul, we launched this new LAN facility where we have like watch parties, we have community events, we bring pros to kind of coach, if you want to do that. Or you can just come play and go shop and buy like cutesy Animal Crossing stuff, which I just bought one. And so we really wanted to create that like community environment that I think what we really wanted to kind of have a place where GenG fans or people that are just looking and exploring for teams, or just a fun place to enjoy the best of esports. We wanted to create that place. So GGX is a huge touch point for us. We're also starting a new content initiative that we recognize is really important, which is how do we have more content, not just for like our existing fans and our hardcore fans, but more casual fans that are just beginning to get interested in us because they heard about us or they're new to League. And they're watching MSI and EWC and all this stuff, and they're interested in us. And more bite-sized content and kind of more fun content. That's something that we're working on as well. And then I think just trying to be more present in these kinds of things and be more active and, tell our story, because I think our team is a little bit more introverted. So they themselves won't tell their story as much. So I feel like it's our organization's job to take that role. Versus like our Valorant team, they're just talk nonstop. So they will tell the story nonstop, and we just got to support them, I'm looking at Texture streaming numbers, and I'm like, man, this guy, he's just a killer, man. He's just doing everything.
Finally, I guess, what does success look for you? Like, I know you talked a lot about the League team and kind of talked about GenG, but for Arnold, what does success look like for you for the rest of the year? Other than
the rest of the year,
being, practicing gratitude. Can't just be grinding every day.
Well, first off, I think for me, the number one thing is I feel like we've built a great system here at GenG around whether it's players, whether it's students in our academy, or even just staff, like they come into our system and they have outsized success compared to anybody else. Like that's been our dream. And so if we can get that structure better and more set up so that we are putting every player and team across the board in a position to win, in the best position to win, then we will, like I think the hard work and wins, if you put in the hard work and then wins follow.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to just continue to do that. And then, then at that point, it's up to the team and the players and the coaches. Then you got to trust in them, right? But it's hard when you have a game one and you lose and you're like, oh man. And then, by the way, I have no idea. Like, we've been in so many game fives.
Yeah.
This is not good for my health, I think.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm tracking, I have like these like heartbeat trackers and things shoots up.
Yeah.
It goes like 120, 140.
Make
I'm
sure
like,
you're alive, man.
I must be burning calories watching, right?
130 is usually the exercise zone. It's the
Why do we need to keep going to game five? Like,
it's great TV, man.
I don't understand why we need to do this.
And you guys are winning too. Imagine those game fives where you didn't win. That felt bad.
Man, I don't even want to think about it, but man, we need to just. I would wish that we would win easier.
All right, so finally, for real this time, what is the impact that you want to leave fans and audience with here for GenG 2025?
I think. Well, first off, I think a really big key for us is not just celebrate like endpoints or specific outcomes, but to be able to tell the story of the journey that it took to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Because success comes way before a championship.
Yeah.
Success comes on every small thing that you do along the way. And, it takes a lot. One of the things that we do is like, and I'm really proud of it, is actually right after EWC, me and Kiin, our GM, we got into a pretty heated argument about what we need to do more of to get better.
Yeah.
And he had ideas and I had ideas and we were like getting into it about this. And we had just so much success right then, right? And afterwards, obviously, we're happy. We get drinks and actually I'm having drinks with him and the Valorant coaching staff after this. So, but we both love the fact that we weren't satisfied with our existing success or failure.
Yeah.
That we are always looking for that next challenge.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of the mentality. And I think I learned a lot from Chovy on that. Like I'm picturing Chovy like that Ryu Street Fighter where he's looking for that next challenge. Like, and I think that's just in our DNA.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that in our DNA in everything we do. But at the same time, also enjoy the moment and the privilege to be here.
Yeah. Starts at the top. And so if that's your focus, I'm sure it'll trickle down. Arnold Hur, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Make sure to follow GenG and all their socials, their YouTube channel. If you come to Korea, check out GGX. And until then, thank you so much for watching and keep it locked here on KSV Esports for more content. Thanks.